New Conjuring film, let's go. So The Nun 2 is not only the sequel to, well, The Nun, but it's also the latest entry in the Conjuring franchise. We once again follow Sister Irene, portrayed by Taissa Farmiga, as after a priest has been murdered, she has been sent on an investigation that brings her to confront the demon known as Valak. Alrighty guys, so let's get into The Nun 2.
Excellent!
I actually didn't mind the first Nun film. I feel like that I'm one of the few people that didn't hate it. I mean, The Nun, the first movie, is not a good movie, but it's a movie that I think was a decently fun time at the movies. It wasn't particularly great, but it was a movie that I feel like I enjoyed more than most. Making a sequel to The Nun was the last thing I was thinking of, because seriously, when you're watching a movie like The Nun, do you think a sequel is gonna happen? Probably not, but hey, The Nun 2 happened. Yes, I did get the first and a 3 out of 5, but the more I thought about it over time, that score has only gone down slightly. I'd actually give that film now like a 2.5. Walking into my screen for The Nun 2, I was just like, you know what? I just want to have a fun time with this movie, and yeah, I had a fun time with Nun 2. Taissa Farmiga, I think, is really good still as Sister Irene. Storm Reid, I also thought was very, very good in the film, despite her not having a lot of screen time in the film. But I will say that Storm Reid does have a great joke that had me laughing really, really hard. The guy who plays Frenchie, I believe his name is Jacques. I think he was also good in the film. One of the other things I enjoyed about The Nun 2 was Michael Chav's directing. I was not a fan of La Llorona. As a matter of fact, I thought that La Llorona was one of the worst films of that year. However, I do think that Michael Chav's, with every film that he has made since then, that he has improved his craft as a filmmaker. Not only in terms of setting up sequences, setting up some really, really good shots, and I'll get into it momentarily, establishing tension and building up that tension really, really good. The Nun cinematography is so well done. This is really a beautifully shot film that has some great mood. Something I gotta mention about the cinematography is how Michael Chav's DP do a really good job of framing up certain shots. They have those shots where they pan up, and if you're looking very, very closely, you'll see that image in the background. You're just going like, wait, what the... Oh. The Nun 2 isn't particularly a scary film per se, but I will say that there are some very well crafted sequences. There is a great sequence that legitimately actually would go like this.
Well, that's just fucking great!
At the same time, I got some stuff to say. The first half of this movie, it feels like the storylines of this movie are kind of all over the place, to the point where it just wasn't all that interesting. The story of this movie is a pretty thin, almost bare bones story, even though there's two plot lines going on at the same time. There are times, especially in the first half of this movie, drags, and I mean it drags. Speaking of which, guys, The Nun 2 is almost 2 hours. That's an hour and 50 minutes. This movie could have easily have cut at least 15, maybe 20 minutes, because there are some bits where I was just going like, yeah, that could have been cut out, that could have been cut out. The Nun 2 is quite, and I mean quite predictable, especially with the scares, and you guessed it, guys, there are quite a few jump scares in this film. They're the kind of jump scares where you're going like, wait for it, okay, come on, you're not fooling anybody, there we go. It sucks even more so because here's the thing, some of the scares in this movie are actually quite crafted, but there are those other scares in which how the camera is framed, you could just tell that they're gonna be coming a mile away. The Nun 2 is also a very cliche movie. I can't spoil anything because I want you guys to experience this movie, because I did have a fun time with this movie overall, but at the same time, this movie runs into many cliches and it's not even funny. There is something that happens and I almost rolled my eyes because it almost just calls itself out to just being like, yeah, we're gonna go here because, well, we can. It was just that stupid. There is something that happens to one of these characters. How did one of these characters not die? By far the biggest issue with this movie, and it does involve a spoiler, to which, don't worry, I'm not going to give anything away. Due to The Nun 2 doing a particular event in the story, it negates and it retcons something pretty big that happens in the Conjuring universe, because it really made me going like, how does this thing connect to this? How does that...
And here we go.
So overall, I had a fun time with The Nun 2. The Nun 2 is far from a great film, and I wouldn't particularly call this a good film either, but at the same time, if you're just looking for a mindlessly fun horror film to shove popcorn in your face this weekend, you can't go wrong with The Nun 2. All in all, I'm gonna give The Nun 2 a 3 out of 5. The Nun 2 isn't really a good film per se, but at the same time, I do find The Nun to be a fun and a solid enough horror film to check out this weekend. So comment down below and let me know, out of all the creatures, all the demons, and the Conjuring universe, which one to you is the most frightening? Let me know below. If you guys want to follow me on social media, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and I'm also on Twitch. So if you guys want to follow me on all those social media platforms, all the links and the usernames are in the description below. I hope you all enjoyed my review of The Nun 2. If so, please hit that like button, also subscribe, and don't forget that notification bell for my latest review goes live. If you guys want to see my previous 2 reviews, please click it right there or right there. And of course, when my next review or video goes live, I will see you all next time.